Beard. From the Fans Talk Podcast family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 277 of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling. My name is Garvin, and with us as always is Joe. Say hello, Joe.
You can't get rid of me. I'm just like John Cena. I will be here for ages.
John Cena wins.
Oh, fucking A.
And Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Does that mean this show's going to have a weak-ass ending?
Always does.
Even when our noses are broken. And joining us is Adam. Say hello, Adam.
Woo! What's up?
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
All right, so this episode of FTPW has been brought to you by our friends on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, Patreon subscribers get early access to our episodes, as well as access to bonus content that only they can see. Shout out to the newest member of the Squared Circle of Trust, Sean Walton. Thank you so much, Sean. After today's free conversation, we're going to stick around with Adam for some Squared Circle of Trust content. Adam requested weeks ago, I think, maybe a month ago, you wanted us to talk about e-fetting and fantasy wrestling and how that all played a part in really the creation of our relationship, but also, our wrestling fandom, earlier in our lives. So, we're gonna talk about that, probably some other stuff as well. So again, if you aren't subscribing, definitely join us over on patreon.com/fanstalk and become a Squared Circle of Trust member today. All right, so WWE. I don't even know where to start. So Joe, what happened this week that's worth talking about?
Well, I mean, if we're going to start talking about it's Raw, we got to talk about Raw. And I've been thinking about Raw and I watched it a good chunk of it this morning, and so the rest of it this evening before we started the show, because I had other shit to do. Jesus A. Jesus H. Christ. Actually, his middle name's Hank. Not many people know that, but Dean Ambrose took on the Big Show. And a lot of people complain about Big Show matches. It's what we do. We're the internet. But I really enjoyed this match. I think they sold it well, even though it ended in a count out. I think it was well done. Did anybody else seem to enjoy this match, or am I flying solo here?
I liked it. I did kind of like their what was it, the tag match or whatever they were involved in on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. A little bit more than this one.
On what?
SmackDown. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's like, yeah, it's like this weird, like, little show. You got to kind of be like facing north and with your hand directed towards the left and channeling the mental capacities of the fifth dimension to be able to receive it. But when you do, it actually has some really great wrestling content on it. So I would recommend it to anybody who's willing to go through all that bullshit. Anyway, so the match that they had 2 weeks prior, the one that they were showing, first of all, the highlight of them of Dean Ambrose DDTing Big Show into the announce table was just absolutely fantastic. And that was the crescendo to a pretty well built, I believe it was a tag match, if I can recall correctly. And I think what was great about that spot was that they didn't take apart the table before they did it. They didn't telegraph that the table was going to break. It's just Big Show picked him up for a choke slam and was just going to go for it. And Dean Ambrose countered it, and it was perfect way to take them both out of the match. And I think it was Reigns and Bray as the other two partners. I think. I'm not positive. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, back to this week's Raw match. Yeah, I actually do kind of like the idea of Dean and Big Show wrestling. It's something I know you guys have been talking about for the last couple of months here, is that nobody wants to see Big Show anymore, and I guess it kind of depends on the week for me, but I do still think Big Show has something to bring to the table, a little bit more than just being the bodyguard of the Spanish announce table, although that would be awesome. I I think he has a little bit more to bring. I think he can still elevate younger talent. I think he did that for Roman Reigns, even though that feud didn't necessarily have the best build to it. I think the payoff was still pretty good, and I think it did.
Okay.
It has helped to continue to build Roman as to be more credible, because I know at the beginning of the year nobody thought he was credible. I think what they've been doing with Miz and Ryback and Big Show has been interesting. You know, it's not setting the world on fire, but you know, not every match can, not every story can. I still think Big Show adds value to the roster, and I think what really would help a lot in that case, I think they just need to know how to use him a little bit more wisely. He's a lot better in sort of like a Roman Reigns-esque, a very short, simple feud. You know, he doesn't need a lot of window dressing or anything like that to get the job done at this point. And I think if they focused on that and kept his feud short, or maybe even if he had a conflict with someone, it was just handled within that Raw and moved on, I think he could at least get another 3 to 6 months out of his career before he really, really started getting stale. But that's just my opinion on it. Bottom
How many
line,
times in that time period does he have to turn?
Preferably none. I think he could potentially play like just sort of a kind of, you know, I always kind of felt like Randy did that too. I mean, he gets face reactions, but I always kind of felt like Randy didn't. Now he kind of does because he's been phoning it in, but I always felt like he just did what he wanted, and if the fans cheered for it, great, and if they booed for it, okay, whatever. I can deal with that. I feel like if they did that with Big Show, also that could also, you know, continue to get life out of his career.
Yeah, have the reactions be dictated by who he's facing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. As far as Ambrose versus Big Show, I wasn't really excited about the match. Ambrose did one hell of a job just going after Big Show again and again and again and again. And that can present a pretty interesting narrative if done correctly. And it wasn't a bad match by any means. It was just kind of But maybe I'm still kind of influenced by the shit show that has been Ryback versus Miz versus Big Show for the IC title. But I don't think Big Show has any place in the title scene at all. Even if it's just to build guys up, I think Big Show's past that. He doesn't need it. And yeah, like you said, Adam, I think he could do really well in building people up, like you said with Roman Reigns. And maybe he could do something similar for Ambrose. But yeah, I think in order for me to get the full enjoyment that I think I could get out of Big Show, I need him to stay out of the ring for a little while first.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they did a really good job with that after the Reigns feud, and having him, you know, stay out of TV for a minute and sell the fact that Reigns dumped a freaking announce table on him. You know, I think that, again, even further built up Reigns to look like the Samoan badass that Paul Heyman says he is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I totally agree. It's just that timing and just learning when to fit him in and when to pull him out. And I think if WWE really got that on right, they could potentially even milk like 1 or 2 years out of Big Show even more.
For sure.
All right, cool. Anything else on Raw? Again, that's worth talking about. I think, you know, we talked a little bit about Ambrose versus Big Show, Cena versus Rollins. What else is going on that you guys are enjoying? Nick, anything?
The Divas are putting on good stuff, as has been the case of late. Yeah, all 3 of the NXT call-ups have been knocking it out of the park. Paige obviously is pulling her weight when it comes to that, and Team Bella's not doing too bad either. I wish I could say the same about Naomi and Tamina, but we haven't really been seeing much out of them lately. And in Tamina's case, I don't think that's a bad thing, because she's been pretty bland ever since she came back from that injury. And Naomi, I don't know. She's obviously a very talented athlete, and her character holds a lot of promise. It's just the presentation seems to be all over the place.
Yep.
It's like the WWE doesn't know what they want to do with her. Hopefully, hopefully at the end of this 3-way team battle for dominance, maybe we can get Naomi versus Sasha for a little bit. Maybe Naomi feels threatened by Sasha's dominance and she wants to put Sasha in her place. And Obviously, the boss will not stand for that. So I think that could be an interesting feud. But in the meantime, Charlotte's on top of the world right now, as she should be. And yeah, I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Divas have been outstanding. Being as big of an NXT fan as I am, I absolutely love seeing all the NXT Divas back, or not back, but up on the main roster. I agree with you. I wasn't here at the time to say it, but I thought the way they brought them in was a little ham-fisted. But if it got the end result of getting them up on the main roster, I'll swallow that pill for sure. Yeah, I kind of agree about Naomi and Tamina. That's kind of a bummer in a sense that as soon as Sasha gets up on the main roster, it kind of feels like she gets all the attention. And not that she's undeserving of it, but I mean, the last I checked, they were team bad, not team boss. So, I mean, and like you do, I totally agree. Naomi has a lot of promise. I even think Tamina, honestly, I wouldn't change a thing with her. I think handling her the way she is being handled now is absolutely perfect. You know, as long as she's not doing that goofy kind of Santino kind of stuff or, you know, whatever else she was doing when she first came into the WWE, I think she plays a great enforcer. I mean, say what you will about Kevin Nash, but he was also a really great enforcer. You know, that was probably the best thing that he did with his career, you know, maybe, well, no, NWO was pretty damn good too, but he wasn't the only one in that one, you know.
My favorite Kevin Nash was when he tore his quad.
Sorry, man, I gotta go with Oz. I showed my girlfriend, who is also a big wrestling.
Okay, now you're lying.
No, I swear to God, I can introduce you if you want. Big wrestling fan. That's actually how we met, and yeah, I showed her a picture. I showed her a video of Oz entering the ring, and her jaw was on the floor.
Have you shown her Psycho Sid's floppy leg?
No, I haven't done that yet. One of these days.
That's a good one. That's a good one to get a video of. Get a reaction video of that and the Brock Lesnar faceplant.
Which one was the Brock Lesnar faceplant?
Where it was WrestleMania,
the shooting star press.
The shooting star press. Okay. I thought he was just like, checking up for himself or something.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The shooting star faceplant.
No. That was Tamina.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you brought that back because I wasn't necessarily finished talking about Tamina. I think she's great where she is. I think she's absolutely great doing what she's doing. Maybe not talking so much yet. I mean, if she wants to get into that, I say pull an Eva Marie and, you know, maybe outside of when you're on TV, like go and look into strengthening that either through the rest of the Divas or someone else on the roster or however you do it. And then, yeah, like you're saying, Nick, with Naomi, I would even take it a step further and I would say I don't even know if she really knows what direction she really wants to go with that. Because I think she kind of wants to stay somewhat face and keep that link with the Usos, but then she also wants to pull off that kind of, you know, baddest bitch sort of thing too, which she also does very well. But I think she has a conflict with that. I think she has gone, you know, in between both of those. And I think at this point, I think she needs to kind of choose a direction and go with it.
Yeah, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. It's just you've got to find that balance. And Naomi hasn't been able to do that yet. I think she needs more screen time in order to figure that out.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's sort of the trouble is that now she is competing with Sasha a little bit. And Sasha definitely has the baddest bitch character down, you know. So that's going to be interesting to see. See, I think they're going to build towards, like we said before, a like a 9-woman 3-way match. Which, wow, that sounds like
I'm into it.
Right?
Yeah, I'm down.
But I think they're going to build towards that, and then I think either during that match or directly after it, I think that's when everybody's going to break up and just start doing their own thing. Because you can, in my opinion, you can kind of see very, very subtle cracks forming already. You know, especially like we're saying in Team Bad, I think is the most prevalent. A little bit in Team Page, and I don't necessarily see it yet in Team Bella, but I can see it being very easily maneuvered into. I mean, the Bellas get jealous about fucking who has the right nail color or not. So
sure.
That's super easy to do.
Yeah, and I think overall, I mean, this was something that we had talked about a while ago. Maybe battleground predictions as far as where they were going to go next with the three women teams that they had set up. The 9-person does make sense as far as a 3-on-3-on-3, but at the same time, news just came out. Alicia Fox suffered a concussion. Sure, oh, wow. SummerSlam is 4 weeks away, so there's theoretically enough time, but considering how long they've kept Daniel Bryan out through a concussion, it's possible that they might be a little bit more careful bringing her back too soon. So that does make sense. But at the same time, with Alicia Fox having to be written off, at least for the time being, that's kind of that's kind of uncertain now.
I think there are ways around
to replace Alicia.
Who would you put in there?
It's interesting because even before this happened, they've been doing some quote unquote recruiting on Twitter, like extending invitations to join Team Bella to various divas. Like Emma got an invitation, Bailey got an invitation, which was kind of interesting.
What?
Bailey had a great response. It's like, I'd love to, but last time I tried to hug Foxy, she kicked me in the face.
That is great.
Now that I think about it, Emma and her current character would be a really interesting choice.
I almost feel like Dana would be a better choice than Emma, though.
Character-wise, yes, but she's not ready, I don't think.
Totally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Another character that could probably fit pretty well is Alexa Bliss.
Mm. Mm. I kind of like keeping her with. I don't know if Blake and Murphy are anywhere near to coming to the main roster. I kind of could care. I mean, I don't know. Their character has slowly started to grow on me, but at this point, I can still kind of care less if they come up. If they do, I kind of still like her being with the two of them. I think they make a great unit.
Yeah, they do.
Just because I mean, she can be up on this roster and still take active roles back down in NXT. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, you have Sasha do it. You have most of the women they brought up from NXT doing double duty, or are still doing. I mean, Sasha's definitely doing it because she's the freaking women's champion. But yeah, I mean, you could still bring her into like Team Bella, and then leave, and then have her go back and manage those guys. Even if Blake and Murphy come up, it would be interesting to see her split her time between the two. Then it gives her a little more depth in the character, and then she's got to decide at one point, going forward, where is she going to stay?
That's true, and that could be an interesting story if you tell it. It does seem like there's a certain transitional period where they pull double duty, but it doesn't seem to last very long. Like you could even already tell Owens' presence on NXT has been very much more lacking since they've come up to at least the third match, and even I would even dare say it started near the second match with him and Cena. I think that's pretty much where they're going to go with it. I have a feeling that Balor will retain, and that probably will be the last time we see Owens in NXT, aside from maybe like special occasions. But who knows?
Sure back when Sami Zayn returns.
Yeah, I'm almost curious if they don't do that story on the main roster, though.
Oh, that is a good point.
But anyway, yeah, I digress.
One person that I think would be, I don't know about likely because she's currently being used in another storyline, but Summer Rae. I think she's got the perfect heel persona for that. And, I mean, anything to get her away from the train wreck that is Lana and Rusev.
Right, but I don't think she's got the in-ring talent that the Bellas have. She's the wrestler that Alicia Fox is. And Alicia Fox is a good wrestler. I haven't seen it out of Summer Rae. That's all I'm saying.
She could run around and slap people.
She hasn't been showcased. If you watch her NXT stuff, she's absolutely the equal of a Bella. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I mean, if I'm looking for bad talent on NXT, I'm still going to look toward Eva Marie.
No.
No, what? You disagree or no?
I disagree that you make that move. There's They're doing too many good things with the Divas. You don't need to like counter that completely by bringing up Eva Marie right now.
Right. Okay. So we're on the same page.
That is unfair. Eva Marie's obviously not ready.
Yeah.
But that is unfair.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She's not ready for sure.
Yeah.
She's got a little bit of in-ring talent, but she's got no character. She still looks like a dead hooker coming to the ring. She's got that, I'm doing this for the money look. Okay, is this enough of a pose? I don't have to give a shit? Okay.
I agree. She definitely has that. You probably saw me on Facebook. I pointed it out. Don't get me wrong. I totally agree with you, Nick. That robe was freaking sweet. And if I'm being the red-blooded American male that I like to think I am, very sexy too. That twirl that she did when she was walking down the ramp definitely looked very uncomfortable for her. But I think I also agree with you. If she has more time to come out in front of a live audience on live TV, she'll work out those bugs. But like you're saying, she's definitely not ready yet. She needs a lot more seasoning. Training with Brian Kendrick is absolutely great, and you could tell that it shows. And by the way, I absolutely love that her finish is the sliced bread number 2. Great reference there.
It's the sliced. It's the sliced red.
Yeah. There you go. I know
that's
really the name.
Actually what it's called. Yeah.
Oh yes, I'm so excited now.
But see but the only problem I had with her doing that move was the camera angle they chose.
Definitely, and you could tell she was still shaky with it. I bet she hits that move very well at the Performance Center, but when she's in front of a live crowd, I think that those nerves come in, and but she'll get that. The only way you can get that experience is just continuing to be in front of a live crowd. There's no other way. There's no magic potion. So,
for sure,
I think she'll get there.
I spent all the money on that potion for nothing.
Oh man, did I spill those beans? I'm sorry, bro.
Shit.
By the way, Beanbag points out that Joe, you know a thing or two about dead hookers. All right. Officially, SummerSlam will be 4 hours long. I think WrestleMania, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think WrestleMania was 5 hours, right?
4 for the main show. If you
5
include
if
a pre-show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
SummerSlam is going to be 4. So do you think it's too long for one of the other 4, the major 4 special events to be 4 hours? Do you think that's too long?
Yes.
Not necessarily. It depends on how it's built. I definitely think that it hurts a pay-per-view to be the same length as Raw. That being said, Raw should go down to 2 hours, keep the pay-per-views at 3, and WrestleMania at 4. WrestleMania should be an hour longer than any other pay-per-view because it is the showcase. It is the Super Bowl of wrestling.
Agreed.
That being said, if we're working our way to 24 hours for WrestleMania, that would suck.
Oh God. Why would you even put that idea in my head, man? Like, I love wrestling, but 24 straight fucking hours? Like, there's no way. But sorry.
Now
does the network ever turn off at your house?
By turn off, do you mean like, is it not displaying on my TV or?
Correct.
Yeah, it does. Quite often.
And you call yourself a wrestling fan.
Dude, it's a la carte TV, all right? I watch it when I want to. I'm not just running it 24/7. Sorry.
But then you're not getting your full $9.99.
Oh, I think I am. All I need is NXT for that $9.99, bro. Anyway, like 4 hours. God, I mean, I get what they're trying to do. They want to do essentially 2 WrestleManias a year. And don't get me wrong, I have a deep love of SummerSlam that most people might not have because it falls in my birth month. And so that was usually when I was a younger child, the birthday party that I did was watching SummerSlam. Even saying all that, SummerSlam is not WrestleMania. It's fun. It's definitely, I think, the next biggest pay-per-view to WrestleMania. At least right now. I would love for Survivor Series. Well, no, I'm sorry. Royal Rumble is definitely second. SummerSlam would be third.
It's going the way it has.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, that's more for the fans, though. I mean, I still think the spectacle of I rank it this way. Casual fans know what the Royal Rumble is. I'm not sure they'll know what SummerSlam is if you ask them. Look at Jeremy Piven. So So, and I would love for Survivor Series. Obviously, Survivor Series is number 4 of the 4. I just don't think SummerSlam needs it. I mean, even with WrestleMania, being the spectacle that it is, and being like, there's still parts of it that, not just out of booking, but just out of like the Shield. I think at 30, who really remembers that match? And the Shield was on fire then. And they had like a maybe 5-minute match at WrestleMania. The biggest highlight was them walking down with the little like wolf fang jaw mask things that they had. Like, you still have those matches on WrestleMania because it's 4 hours and you have to fill the time with something, So I disagree. I mean, I know I'm still going to be watching SummerSlam. I hope that they can fill it with. I hope that they would keep the card at the same match length with maybe 6 or 7, and just expand the matches where they need it, rather than fill it with a bunch of throwaway matches that nobody cares about.
See, I kind of want the opposite. I'm not interested in the 35 to 40 minute Cena match or a 35 to 40 minute Orton match. I want more variety. If you're going to make it 4 hours, make it worth my time. Like, have a Lucha Dragons tag match, have Neville versus Stardust, have, showcase an NXT match, or make use of some of the mid-card talent that you never see on TV for longer than 2 minutes. Just make that a platform for somebody to make a name for themselves. If you don't want to give them a WrestleMania match or a WrestleMania moment, if you're going to make SummerSlam 4 hours, this is a good tryout platform to see how something works. Like, it's going to be in New York. That's going to be a good crowd. It's going to give you a fairly good idea of how something will work. So yeah, give it some more variety. Don't just give us 30 minutes of Cena, 30 minutes of Orton. Don't make the Taker versus Lesnar match in a 60-minute Iron Man match. For one thing, I don't think Taker would last that long right now, but yeah.
It looks kind of fresh.
I think he would tear something like 20 minutes in, to be honest.
That's fair. At least he went 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I'm not looking forward to the prospect of 4 hours of what is essentially going to be a 3-hour pay-per-view stretched out.
Yeah, that's true. Well, what about this then? You talk about no 30-minute Orton, Cena, or potentially Brock Taker match. What if you put that time into like a 30-minute Reigns Bray match, or Reigns and Ambrose versus Bray and Luke, or whatever else, 30-minute Cesaro and Owens match. That has me already right now, I can tell you, and I don't want to be too discussing, but salivating just thinking about that. That gets me. I don't want to get too vulgar. I don't want to get too vulgar on the show.
I would definitely go for a 30-minute Iron Man match between Owens and Cesaro.
Oh my God, that would take the house down.
I doubt we'd ever see it, but yeah, that would be awesome. If they make it fresh enough and interesting enough, I'm perfectly okay with a 30-minute match. It's just
definitely not
to the Cenas and Ortons.
True, that's true.
By the way, real quick, let me just jump in with this idea. Nick, I think you actually brought it up. The idea of maybe putting an NXT Championship match on the card. I think we were talking about maybe them doing this at WrestleMania or them doing this at Royal Rumble or, whatever. But if, now that we know that SummerSlam is going to be that 4 hours, 5 hours if you count the pre-show, what chance do you think that we have to actually getting that NXT Championship match on the main card? Do you think they would actually pull the trigger on that?
If they're not going to do it at Mania, I don't think they would do it at SummerSlam.
Why? There's less risk, I would imagine.
Well, I don't think risk is the issue at this point, just because NXT is as big as it is. It's just the pattern that's been set. For the big shows, it's just been an NXT talent getting spotlighted, like Bo Dallas or Hideo Itami getting into the Royal Rumble. I don't necessarily know what the equivalent would be at SummerSlam, but I don't know. I want it to happen, but I just don't know if I see that yet. Especially not with TakeOver Brooklyn being in the same time frame. They're actually going to be a day apart, actually, now that I look at it.
Yeah, I would say the same. For this particular SummerSlam and the way that the TakeOver special aligns, we definitely won't see an NXT title match. We could see an NXT showcase potentially, which I would love to see. I don't know if we will, but we could. That said, I don't know if we're really ever going to see just a singles NXT match on Raw or SmackDown. I mean, Nick has said it before. It's a developmental territory, and that's not only where it should stay. It seems like where WWE wants it. I mean, they keep saying that Owens beat Cena in his first match in WWE, which has me scratching my head because last I checked, even though it's a different brand, NXT is still under WWE, and he had several matches before that. So I think they want to keep it as separate as they can. They'll showcase a couple people here and there, like they'll do the Fatal 4-Way they did on Raw. What was that, last year? And they'll do some of the things like that every now and again, but I don't think they're ever going to really treat it as it's legitimate. They're going to try and have their cake and eat it too. They're never going to fully treat it like its own brand, but they're never going to fully treat it like a developmental territory, I think. But time can tell.
I do believe we could possibly get a segment with the NXT champion, like just at maybe a backstage, maybe in ring, where the champion gets asked about how he feels about winning. I'm guessing it'll be Finn Balor.
I think so too.
How he feels about winning, how he feels about being in New York, all that jazz. And maybe that could help set up his next opponent, but I don't think it would go any further than that as far as the NXT Championship goes.
How about this hypothetical?
Bring it.
Do you think they might do anything with Jushin at SummerSlam?
Ooh, that would be awesome, but I'm doubtful.
Okay.
Just because of the platform. NXT's one thing, but I don't think New Japan would go for it. Like Liger making money for the WWE on one of their big 4 shows. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's just my thought on it.
This is being thrown up by Ishmael in the live chat. He says, what about having the NXT Women's Championship on the line? Sasha versus Paige or Sasha versus Charlotte, just because they're already technically on the main roster, but still on the NXT roster.
I see Bayley being the next champion, honestly, if they're going to do that. She's already challenged Charlotte this last week, and I have a feeling she's going to beat her. I feel like this is the run that she does it. You know, I think NXT and WWE have acknowledged that all of us have been fervent that she be NXT Women's Champion, and you could do just a showcase as well. I guess to me, I don't understand why, if, in my opinion, like, the title is not going to change hands. You know, it's always good to see the Divas wrestle, especially to like Paige and Charlotte, which it's been a while since the two of them went. Oh wait, no, you said against Sasha, so never mind. But it's definitely been a while since I've seen Paige and Sasha do a really balls deep, you know, drag out women's match, and I'd love to see it again. But I definitely would rather see, you know, Bayley kind of run roughshod through the NXT Divas on her way to the NXT Women's Championship a lot more.
It would absolutely be a good match. I just don't think we're going to see any NXT titles on the line, just because SummerSlam is a day after TakeOver. And I get the feeling that we're going to see all the titles be defended at TakeOver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who do you think will be tag champions by the time TakeOver comes around?
I'm hoping the Vaudevillains win and beat Blake and Murphy. Like, adding Alexa Bliss into the equation has made things somewhat interesting, but I still... Everything about that gimmick gets on my nerves, and I swear I am just this close to developing epilepsy every time they have their entrance.
Isn't that kind of the point, though?
I imagine it is, and I hate Kevin Dunn for that.
Why is that one Kevin Dunn's fault?
He's in charge of all the video content like that. He's the one sending the marching orders, like, oh, do the shaky cam every time they do a dive outside, and every time they have a big hit outside, do the shaky cam. And yeah,
the one I always hated was, which they definitely do, and I'll admit it is disorienting when they do it for Blake and Murphy. I hated it when they did it for moves, though. When I think it was during the Shield, and when the Shield was like, starting to beat down someone before they
Yeah.
did the triple power bomb. They would do like that super zoom in, zoom out really fast. And I'm like, what are we time warping right now? Like, what is this?
Yeah, there's just there's a lot of bad camera decisions going on, and Kevin Dunn is to blame for that.
So, by the way, you brought up who should be tag team champions at that point. Why not Enzo and Big Cass?
Oh, I would love that. I think they're not challenge. I think they're challenging whoever. I would like to think at least that they're challenging whoever wins between, because Blake and Murphy are having a tag team title match against the Vaudevillains next week. So I'm assuming they'll come back into the title picture after that's settled, or potentially they might even have something to say about the title match as it's happening. I don't know. I would love them to get back into it, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case for the foreseeable future, at least until whatever business between the Vaudevillains and Blake and Murphy gets resolved.
I did forget that we're getting that title match next week, so it did seem weird that the Vaudevillains were getting that nod against Blake and Murphy. So, yeah, by TakeOver, I could very well see Enzo and Cass facing Blake and Murphy. That seems to be where the natural feud is. And you got the extra added element of Carmella versus Alexa, too. So,
Yep.
Since the Vaudevillains are getting their title match next week, I definitely see Enzo and Cass getting that match at TakeOver.
I don't know if you guys have heard, by the way, but Enzo is a bona fide stud and a certified G. So I definitely think. That. Nope, you cannot, dude.
No, can't teach it.
Smack Talker Skywalker, bro.
All right, so in the Facebook group, Ishmael is constantly saying this is the best WWE event that they've ever put on, kind of thing. So Donald Paulton wanted to call him out, but at the end of the day, I think he started to agree. So he basically said, Ishmael Carmichael said that this is the best year WWE has ever had. He's certainly exaggerating, but I mean, really, it's really good. NXT is in the full spotlight. Consistently good pay-per-views this year. We finally got new stars in the main event scene. Raw is finally watchable. Over the last couple of weeks, it's been amazing. For once, he doesn't think that Ishmael is exaggerating as much as he first suspected. So overall, do we agree? Is this one of the best years in WWE?
I wouldn't say. I mean, if you're just talking main roster, I would say no. If you add an NXT, that changes. I think it heads more in that direction. But I don't think this has been the best year for NXT. I mean, for WWE.
I wouldn't say. Garvin, you did ask one of the best. And honestly, at least for the PG era, I would agree. I mean, I don't think it necessarily reaches the level of Summer of Punk and all that kind of stuff. But the one thing I will say to that is that at that time period, that was probably the best and most entertaining storyline going. And I cannot for the life of me recall any other storyline that was happening at that time. Now, I feel like every single storyline has some merit of importance to it. Dare I say, even Sheamus Orton, as bland and boring as it has been, I'm a little curious to see how it works out. I definitely don't want it to go past SummerSlam for sure. I really didn't want it to go past Battleground, to be honest, but I guess neither guy has anything else to do and everybody else is kind of busy, so what are you going to do? But honestly, from last SummerSlam to this, sure, there's been a couple head-scratching booking decisions overall, but I think they've told really great stories. And for me, the writing element in my own life, storytelling is what I really champion. When I watch, I want to see how these guys interact with each other. I want to see why and all that stuff. One of the things I absolutely love that the Authority's doing now is everything that they've done in interaction with Seth makes absolute sense, or maybe not absolute, but makes pretty damn good sense. When they were doing this, basically the same thing and just switching out Seth for Orton, it was absolutely horrible. It made no sense. Week to week, they would change whether they really liked Orton or really hated him and wanted him to, wanted him to die or wanted him to succeed. Now, like, at least they have that established. When they're mad at Seth, you know why. Because Seth ran his mouth and, put himself in the doghouse for a couple weeks. And when they're happy with Seth, hell yeah, they're right behind him. They're telling John Cena that you're not going to get a world title match. You're going to defend your title, And honestly, that kind of logic seems to be going across the board, Say what you will about how crappy, and I mean no pun when I say that, how crappy Rusev and Lana have been, but at least it has some semblance of sense in it, I don't like love-struck stories any more than the next guy, at least when WWE does them. They're not well versed with romance at all, so I just would prefer that they just don't do it. But if they're going to, at least they're attempting to have it make sense, and that to me is what makes this one of the best years I've seen, at least in a long time. I don't know if it's definitely not the absolute best I've ever seen, because I have not seen every single year of WWE, so I couldn't tell you that, but it's definitely up there, I think, for me.
One of the best, certainly, in recent memory. I would say the modern era, but I don't exactly know where we draw that demarcation line. I would assume it starts with Cena's rise to power. So, like, in the last 10 years. Personally, it's been the most enjoyable year since I started watching, which was like 5 years. Yeah, about 5 years ago. Summer Punk, yeah, that was great, but it didn't really affect any real change like it was being touted. Mm-hmm. The Rise of the Shield, certainly great, but that was kind of an isolated series of incidents. Like, it was great as far as whatever they were touching, but outside of that, it was still kind of same old. Now with NXT being pushed as hard as it is, and that labor, the fruits of that labor finally coming to light, yeah, we're getting great stuff right now. Everything Kevin Owens is doing is awesome. Everything Seth Rollins is doing, as far as he goes, is awesome. Like, some of the matches he's booked in, like this last one, Cena, but most of the talent is in a good place right now. And, like, with the Divas especially, it's been a long time since we could really say that. So, as far as the modern era goes, I'm gonna say, yeah, this might be the best year the WWE's had as far as this product goes.
Well, I think you're both. I think it's crazy. I think that's a crazy assessment. But I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't have some benefits, but I think like Rusev's storylines dragging this year down. I mean, there are positives, but I think anything Orton, anything Sheamus drags it down. It being the best year, come on.
Yeah, but how much do those two storylines affect anything?
They're going to affect the Nielsen ratings. That's some shit, though.
Nielsen ratings have been outdated for the last decade.
Yeah, well, that's all I got.
Like, the only real way those two storylines affect the WWE as a whole is Sheamus holding the Money in the Bank contract. And that, I don't see how Sheamus versus Orton can drag that down. Like, yeah, it sucks that the Mr. Money in the Bank loses like 90% of the time, but history has shown that even when that happens, he's gonna cash in and win the belt.
Yeah, for me, I would say there's an hour of solid content from WWE every week. And that's NXT and maybe one or two matches on Raw every week. Like, I really like the Cena US Championship, like the open challenge that he was putting out. I thought that was good. I like the matches. Owens coming up, I thought was fantastic. The NXT Divas coming up, I thought was great. Brock Lesnar as champion was one of my favorite times in WWE. But outside of that, there really wasn't a whole lot going on because, what WWE has failed to do and continues to fail to do is really build those next stars. Instead of developing a Cesaro and putting a Cesaro in a spot where he can get over, and they can put a lot of weight on him. They're instead bringing The Rock back, or they're putting Stone Cold in the commercial and the cover of their video game, or whatever. I mean, they're putting that focus on the older generation, trying to bring those guys back to get a little bit of a payday. And I think it's unfortunate. So as far as this being one of the best years in WWE ever, No.
In WWE's defense, though, on the Austin thing, in the video game, because that's the only thing they're really bringing it back for. It's 2K16, the 316 thing. I get it. But that only seems to be for cover art and for commercials. I mean, yeah, of course they're going to put Austin in the game, but I don't think they're, like, going to make him the WrestleMania main event here.
If he could wrestle, they sure as hell would.
Oh, yeah, if he could, but...
I've really got to dispute that development of talent deal. Like, yeah, it sucks that Cesaro isn't as pushed as hard as we want him to, as he obviously should be. But at the same time, Rollins is holding the top title. He's basically on top of the world right now. Taker versus Lesnar headlining SummerSlam, that doesn't change yet. Especially if they're going to make that 4 hours. Because if they're giving it the WrestleMania treatment, they're going to have multiple main events. So, yeah, I see where you're coming from. It sucks that some of the deserving talent is getting overlooked. But they are developing those future stars, like Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns.
But Seth Rollins is an isolated incident. I mean, you look at Roman Reigns, and he was definitely pushed to the moon, probably sooner than a lot of fans wanted him to. But as soon as they, WWE heard that negative feedback, they stopped it. You look at Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is a guy that we all thought, could be one of the next big things, and for whatever reason loses the big matches, or he's not put into a consistent story to really put that guy on the map. He's just a guy that is crazy, that is just, talking nonsense in these segments, and it doesn't necessarily lead to anywhere productive. Dean Ambrose is another guy that could be considered in that. Is that it's like they're lost on really how to develop that character to make it long lasting.
I don't think Rollins is an isolated incident, because again, you got Roman Reigns. And as far as the guys you named, how many of those do we want to see at Rollins' level, and how many of those could realistically be at Rollins' level? Because I don't think Bray Wyatt should be.
Dean Ambrose could definitely be. I mean, you heard the reaction when fans thought he won the title.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But I think you're putting more emphasis than should be placed on the guys that are getting overlooked.
Okay. Dolph Ziggler is a guy that could be at that level.
No.
Yeah.
No? If selling ability was what it took to make that happen, then absolutely. But I don't think he's got it. He's had multiple opportunities to get up there, and
they've killed every single one. He hasn't blown it.
His body certainly gave out on him. I mean, concussion after concussion and various other injuries. He's like Daniel Bryan if he was more talented. I think a lot of people have rated Dolph Ziggler a lot higher than he realistically should be.
I'm guessing the silence means that you guys agree too, Joe, Adam?
I mean, I'll admit, I was adjusting audio so that my microphone wasn't picking up my headphones. But the Dolph Ziggler is not as well rated as the internet thinks he is. I don't know. He's extremely talented. But you know what? We should move on. We've been on this topic for a while.
Let's talk Tough Enough. Let's move on to Tough Enough.
And Tough Enough just ended.
Hey, perfect. Actually, I don't think it ended for me yet. I don't even think it started yet.
Yeah, I have no idea when Tough Enough actually airs. I watch it next day. So
when we start the show, it starts.
Oh, right.
Perfect.
All right. Well, hello everyone who's watching Tough Enough that came over to the live show. Anyways, let's start off with the elephant in the room. Hogan fired from WWE, removed from everything, also removed from the record books from TNA. It seems like everyone's trying to distance themselves from him because of the racial slurs that he used in a private conversation that somehow got leaked. I think it all is associated with the sex tape stuff.
Right. It was in the sex tape.
Yeah. So, now there's talks that, there was also, anti-homosexual, comments made. So he's basically done for a while. Do you think Hulk Hogan, can legitimately, regain his place in WWE?
Well, what I do know about Hulk Hogan, we all should know that Hogan knows best, and I'm sure he's going to team up with Donald Trump and make that run for the presidency.
Man, that makes me instantly conflicted.
No,
there's too much orange in that card.
And blonde hair, don't forget about that.
And balding.
Oh, there you go too. Wow, why haven't they been a tag team before now?
Oh, I'm sure they tag teamed a few people like Ivanka and all those,
That's the next sex
Marla
tape.
Maples back at
My joke
WrestleMania
was not
6.
even nearly as good as yours, so I'm just going to let it fly.
Yeah, WrestleMania 6.
So seriously though, can he bounce back from this, or is this it? Is this it for Hogan, and he's no longer the guy that they bring back every few years to pop a crowd?
If they can, I don't think they're going to bring him back for a while. I think they could bring him back to pop the crowd again. If they can bring out Flair, they can bring out Hogan. All the shit that Flair's done, he's practically Cosbying women on planes. I don't think that.
That's hearsay, sir.
Are they bringing back Flair though?
Potentially.
They have on NXT. They've shown him at least.
Yeah, but just basically as Charlotte's valet.
Right. But it's still, they've brought him back to get her some more of that pop. They brought her pop to get her pop. So I think it's possible. Anytime The Rock, The Rock is different, but like Austin, they keep bringing back. They don't need to keep bringing him back.
Flair was never as much in the public eye whenever his scandals popped up as Hogan is, though. Like, Hogan's bullshit is making national headlines. I can't remember if Flair ever did.
That's because we're getting more and more TMZ and Facebook. I don't know about you guys, but in the now trending things, I see a lot more WWE stuff than I've ever seen before. I don't know if that's targeting or if it's actually people discussing it and it's actually that big of news. Like Rollins breaking Cena's nose.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though. They keep bringing back Flair because the WWE's audience, at least portions of it, have no idea about his past. With Hogan, that's just not possible just because of how big a name he is. So I personally don't see him making a comeback.
No, but I think Mr. America might.
I think Mick Foley already posted that he did come back.
Oh, did he?
Different News made that.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
That was pretty awesome. This is a tough one for me. From my experience in wrestling, and granted it's limited, I probably didn't start becoming a fan till like the very, very tail end of the Attitude Era, like 2000, 2001-ish. So, but in my experience, they all come back, regardless of what happens or what doesn't. Everybody comes back at one point or another until they're dead. And I don't mean to sound cold by saying it that way, but it's just, that seems to be the way of it. At least until Vince is gone, one way or the other. That's the kind of business he does. He doesn't let personal stuff get in the way. And as I recall, he and Hogan have had several falling outs, and they've always made up. I was actually under the impression that it was a totally different conversation that sparked this, which I totally thought was BS. I thought it was like
the Bubba Love Sponge interview where he was talking about using the N-word.
Yeah, about Booker T and everything like that. And I was like, well, hell, if that's the reason why he got kicked off, why is Booker T still on it Tough Enough too? Because he's the one that actually let it slip and said it, But
well, then you turn around, you get that clip of Vince saying it to Cena, and then he turns and you see Booker and Sharmell standing there.
Yeah, that's true too. The bottom line is, people are people. They do good. Everybody looks at celebrities as like these holier than thous that whenever they do something wrong, how could they ever do it? They're famous. It doesn't make any sense. Like, they have all this popularity. How could they ever do anything that a human being of any caliber could do? For me, like, not to say that obviously I'm not. It's offensive, but I was never like personally offended by it, but I still acknowledge that it's terrible. And yet time passes and things happen the way they do. And to say Hogan is gone forever, I don't see it. Gone for now, definitely. And it's somewhat unfortunate. You know, I did think his insights on Tough Enough were interesting. Held no candle to Stone Cold's interviews during the last season of Tough Enough, but still very valuable, very insightful. You know, I know regardless of what happens, I'm sure that compliment still means the world to Mata. And yeah, like I said, gone for now, but not for good.
So I was planning on asking who you thought should replace Hogan. There was a lot of rumors that Ric Flair was going to step in or Bret Hart was going to step in. But suffice it to say, now that Tough Enough has aired for us, it was told to us in the live chat by Robert that the replacement is The Miz. Are you okay with that replacement?
No, definitely not.
I'm okay with it. I mean, he's done his job as mentor in NXT for the first NXT season.
Yeah, but to a guy that was clearly leaps and bounds ahead of him, and the audience always acknowledged that.
Right, but regardless, he's been in the role.
Okay.
The guy has experience. The guy has TV experience. It's not like he's not following the product. He's got to do the Tough Enough post show, or he did. I don't know who they're going to have fill in for him now.
Most likely it'll still be him.
But I mean, it gives you. I don't know. I think it's valid. Storylines aside, I think it's good. I think he'll do fine.
I disagree, man. I think you need at least one grizzled vet on there, and Miz is definitely not that. I don't necessarily say that, you know, I'm not in the camp that Miz has nothing to offer and is just a waste of TV. I mean, especially lately when they've kind of diverted his douchebaggery into like Hollywood kind of stuff. He's kind of, I think, been on fire. You know, I could easily see him doing another Intercontinental run in the next couple months and stuff like that, and that's great. And honestly, I thought he was a great heel when he fought Cena and bragged about that WrestleMania 27 match that I was live for and thought was really awesome. But even still, like, I thought that was a decent match. You know, it wasn't the best main event I've ever seen, but it certainly wasn't the worst. And I thought he was a great heel. You know, he's always been really good at getting people to hate him. And that's all great. But none of that, in my opinion, translates to being able to solidly give a seasoned veteran style piece of advice to these young up and comers that you know have never ever. I mean, maybe a couple of them have been in the Indies, but
so let me ask you this: if you had to pick somebody who isn't a Stone Cold or Rock or the likes of those, who would you replace Miz with?
Like the most veteran guy that actually had the schedule.
Yeah, who would you pick to be the?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here, Joe.
I try.
Off the top of my head, Ziggler comes to mind. I think I don't even know if his injury is kayfabe or valid.
Well, what about somebody who's not an active wrestler now, but is still a grizzled veteran?
Okay. Take your pick in that point. You know, even I think Hacksaw would have something valuable to tell the kids, you know.
I'll just go ahead and say it. Sting.
Oh, wow. I can't believe I didn't even think of Sting. That is absolutely perfect.
And see, I thought Honky Tonk.
Honky Tonk would, well, I don't know. He's a bitter old man sometimes, so.
That's exactly why I'd want him. People speculate, oh, you should get Foley to do it. Foley's not going to do it.
No, he's far too outspoken about the WWE as it is. I think they'd want somebody they can quote unquote control or wouldn't have to worry about controlling. And I feel like Sting.
Yeah,
I feel like he's a good fit for that role.
Absolutely. Imagine if they try to get Tony Atlas to do it.
That would be awesome.
The Miz definitely seems like a step down from Hogan, but you know, it does make sense. He's already affiliated with the show, with the Tough Talk. And he's got the resume to back that up. I mean, he's a Grand Slam champion. So
is he really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, he's definitely got the resume to back that up. If you want a more grizzled veteran type, then I think you could just shift roles around and make Daniel Bryan that guy. And it may as well make a great heel judge. I think Paige has kind of played that a little heavy, but yeah, it could work. I mean, I guess we're going to see when we all go back and watch this week's episode, but yeah, it could work.
That's actually an X factor for me. I don't know if I'm going to.
All right, so with that statement, let's go ahead. We're going to do some quick hits here, okay? You guys got 60 seconds apiece to respond to these questions. So first of all, before we get to that, Joe, elimination of Patrick. Are you okay that they eliminated Patrick? Joe?
Yes, I'm okay with it. I think that he, while he does have a passion, loves the history of the business, and he does love the business, he wasn't conveying enough character. Even though he seemed to, from what I could tell, to be talented work-wise, he didn't have the persona that was needed, and that's a big no-no at this point.
Nick?
I think that was a bullshit elimination, especially when you had Josh in the mix as well. Josh hasn't shown us anything except the fact that he can make some weird noise. Yeah. Don't get me started on how fucking stupid that was, and that stupid bun on the top of his head.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with buns.
Yeah, he's a big guy, and Vince likes big dudes, but I mean,
hot
come
cross
on.
buns.
Yeah, why Josh and Mata are still in this thing, I have no idea. At this point, yeah, Patrick should not have been eliminated. He should have made it much further than it was.
Mata, you can.
And we're not doing any spoilers?
No, we're not going to talk about spoilers because I don't want to be spoiled yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Patrick, I'm heartened by the fact that, they're giving us a teaser that he could get into WWE anyway. Like, he had that little interview with Jericho, but yeah, this absolutely should not have happened.
Adam, are you watching?
Am I watching Tough Enough?
Oh, yeah. Are you okay with Patrick being eliminated?
No, I'm not. I mean, well, I guess I'm in the middle. Yeah, I'll be that guy. So Patrick being eliminated, I get and I don't get. Most importantly, and that's really what killed him and I think got him the least amount of votes, he was talking a lot of trash and got real cocky real quick because he won, in fairness, he won quite a few of the competitions. And that gave him a big head. And, I mean, he nailed it, I thought. I thought he did great in the promo thing. To say he had no character at all, I mean, I'm not going to say he couldn't use some work, but man, I mean, whenever I think of him, I think of that evil genius character that he came up with for the entrances, and that was outstanding. Yeah. I mean, that was right out of the park. Anyone else want to say he's kissing ass for using Lita's dog? You know what? In my opinion, that's just being smart and knowing what your character needs to be. That he nailed that. As far as Josh and Mata are concerned, Josh, I will agree with. He's pretty much just getting by on his size alone right now. Kind of pulling a Brock in UFC. But Mata, I see some character from him. I thought the Pharaoh was also really good. I thought he also cut some pretty good promos when they did the promo cutting. Obviously, he's got the physique as well. I think they, and I don't mean to start any other racist shit. Please don't fire me from the show by saying it, but I think they could use a little bit more diversity. I can't think of any other Middle Eastern characters that are actually active right now. Yeah.
Although putting the stereotypical Pharaoh on him.
No,
it was like the king gimmick, like King of the Ring, and
yeah,
just went with the
Pharaoh. He twisted it to a Pharaoh because Pharaoh's a king.
All right.
Yeah, which in fairness really worked for him.
Quick.
Yeah, that was genius.
There's a quick hit, so let's continue to move on. For me, I still don't get why ZZ's there. So anyways, are we giving up on the show? Joe, you mentioned you don't know if you're going to continue. Go ahead. Why? Why are you not going to continue with Tough Enough? And feel free to unmute so that we can hear you.
God damn it. If it doesn't happen once in a show, it's not a show. I don't like the fact that I will watch a show and I'll sit down, I'll watch it. I mean, I'll even sit through commercials and stuff. So I'm like whole hog in this thing. And I watch it the next day. I don't remember who won necessarily. I don't remember anything that really stood out. Not a lot of it stands out to me as being entertaining. I feel like it's going through more motions than producing an entertainment value for me.
Okay. Nick, are you going to continue watching after this week?
I'm torn because not having Patrick around really hurts my interest in the show, but there are characters that I'm still kind of interested in. Like ZZ's at the top for me. I love his character. I love just him on his own. He's a good character. And I did like the character that he came up with for that segment. Like, that was a pretty good promo that he gave to defend that. And the fact that it turned Hogan on that was impressive in my book. Tanner's interesting to me, kind of. He's my pick personally to go and win it all as far as the male half of the thing goes. But yeah, there's still some attraction for me. It's just, yeah, my interest tanked when Patrick got eliminated. So we'll see.
Adam?
Yeah, I'm still going to watch. I mean, I've already come this far where I think we're a little under halfway through, but we're getting to, we've separated the chaff from the wheat, and we have, pretty much the cream of the crop as far as guys are there. There's still a couple more.
They're still on the show, I'm just saying.
There's still a couple more that, I could stand to see go. But overall, we're really starting to get to the competitive part of it, so I'm going to still watch. I kind of knew from the beginning nothing was going to touch the Stone Cold season, which was my absolute favorite. I mean, I found out from the podcasts, those segments were 2 hours long, and we only saw the best 5 to 10 minutes. I really want to see those extra, 1 hour and 50 minutes of him just tearing into those kids and making them prove what their medal was. That was absolutely not only entertaining, but exactly what they needed. If you're going to risk elimination, you better freaking sell your soul to the devil to get out of it, or what are you even doing this for?
My favorite match is Alicia Fox versus Melina.
Oh yeah, that was absolutely dumb. He still makes that joke on the podcast. To this,
yeah. For me, I'm gonna still watch. Because why not? I mean, it's okay. I'm with you, Nick. I was disappointed that Patrick got eliminated. I was against that pick, but outside of those three, you knew ZZ was gonna get that underdog vote. And yeah, so I don't know. I think it was a bad move just because we ourselves, I think, could relate to Patrick. He was the only one that had any kind of knowledge of what WWE was about and the history. So you kind of needed a guy like that to connect to. And now that he's gone, who can you connect to as a person? I don't really have that anymore. So, but I'm still going to watch. And we'll see how it goes. But definitely, as far as a reality TV show, Tough Enough is super boring. I mean, and I'm comparing it to Big Brother, which I'm also being forced to watch. And Big Brother is a lot more interesting as far as a reality show. So if Tough Enough is supposed to be your reality show, it's lame. The fact that it doesn't include enough wrestling in it makes it super lame for me. But I'm going to give it a couple more weeks. All right, cool. Don't forget, as you go through your week, consider skipping the line at Starbucks one time or have one less beer at your local corner bar and join us over on patreon.com/fans talk. A few dollars will go a long way to show that you really appreciate the conversations that we have together here on Fans Talk. Patreon.com/fans talk to show your support. All right, so today was a really heavy WWE show. I think we're going to skip everything else and pick that up on the other side. Right now, let's jump into win, fail.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here is your win.
You do any job,
and fail
is to fucking get paid!
Of the week. Joe, what was your win of the week?
My win of the week was on Raw, the New Day coming down in the It was the Lucha Dragons versus Los Matadores with primetime players on commentary, and they came down, and Kofi, they're holding a sign over Kofi's head that Kofi is a mega dad.
He's the real mega dad.
He's the real mega dad, taking shots at the Titus O'Neil award that he got.
Yeah.
But like the way they strutted out was just fantastic. Like they were just so freaking happy. It was
Kofi was on point with that, bro.
Yeah, that was good fun. So that's my win of the week. Those guys
Nick,
can do no wrong.
what's your win of the week?
I'm going to give a little hint to what's coming up in the Squared Circle of Trust, and my win's going to Prince Puma, basically for being a baller. I mean, he wrecked house in that closing segment this past week, taking out the Disciples of Death, taking down Mil Muertes, and standing over him, holding the title. That was just a real powerful way to close out everything and go into Ultima Lucha. Like, major props to Lucha Underground for that.
Adam, your win of the week.
My win is going to have to go to, I think I might have literally just forgotten it. Hold on a second. Yeah, I did. So I'm just going to give it to love the Divas action. You know, it's going strong every single week. Like I said earlier, bad start, but great follow-up. And honestly, in about a month, we're going to totally forget how it started anyway, so who cares?
All right, so some wins from the live chat. We've got the Big Show. Shocking how well he looked this week. NJPW G1 Climax. The Gift of the Gods title belt on Lucha Underground. And Monday Night Raw. My win of the week is going to go to just the production value that Lucha Underground has been using. They put out another video this week. It was 37 episodes in 37 minutes. I only watched maybe half of it. I've got the other half waiting for me to finish this episode of FTPW to finish. But it's really, really well done. And it really shows how much time they're devoting to telling those stories and retelling those stories and making sure their fans are invested in what they're doing. So yeah, major props to them. And I really feel like just, Nick, what you said about Puma, like we need to spend more time on Lucha Underground here on FTPW. So Joe, you need to add Lucha Underground to your watching schedule when they start season 2.
I definitely am going to be doing that myself.
As long as I get on a channel that I'm getting, there's no hesitation.
Okay.
Full matches on YouTube, bro.
It's true. That is true.
Full shows on YouTube?
Matches.
Or just matches?
Not on the official channel. Not on the El Rey channel.
Okay.
All right. So fails of the week. Joe, what was your fail of the week?
My fail of the week is actually Lucha Underground, in the fact that one of my favorite things to do on the weekend is to listen to fans talk Lucha. And that's going to come to a close when their season's over, because we haven't heard anything about them taping a second season yet, other than they're going to try and do it. So to get my weekly fix of Garvin and his La Esposa,
See?
I guess I just have to go visit to get my dosage.
Maybe. Let's talk about it in the Circle of Trust.
Yes.
Ooh, teasers.
Nick, what was your fail of the week?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
My fail is going to go to the announcement that Summerslam will be 4 hours. And I use 4 hours very loosely because that shit's definitely going longer than 4 hours, because pre-show, that's got to be an hour long for some ungodly reason. If you're going to have an hour-long pre-show, have more than one match on it. Like, don't just have it be half an hour of the pre-show panel talking and then another 15 to 20 minutes of catch-up.
Yeah, when you get to the Super Bowl, man, if you're going to do a 4-hour pre-show, you should just put another game on. It's a pre-show, man. It's to hype the pay-per-view. It's not necessarily there to show talent.
They could do a better job of hyping the pay-per-view than just showing replays of everything that's come before in the past 4 weeks.
And talking about it for like an hour.
Yeah.
What do you think? Oh, what do you think? Who the fuck cares? Let's just watch the match.
Shut up, Byron Saxon.
Yeah.
That would be entertaining.
I like
That was
Byron.
the best part of any pre-show when Ambrose came on and replaced him.
That or you go just like, hello, this is the reason we want to watch Renee Young.
I think Byron and what's his name? Corey Graves.
Yeah.
Byron and Corey Graves have the best chemistry ever when you're watching NXT. I mean,
That is
holy
true.
cow.
All right, Adam, your fail of the week.
My fail is actually going to Stone Cold Steve Austin this week. And it's more than just this week, but this week was the offender. I think you guys don't really listen to his podcast anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I am still a very faithful listener. And most of the time, sorry, go ahead.
I'll say I only listen when he's featuring wrestling talent. I don't listen much to his shows where he does,
Q&As.
I'm just going to talk to Ted Fowler at 316 Gimmicks.
Oh, those are even more fun, man. God, they laugh about stupid shit all the time.
Yeah, they do, but it's just not the content I'm looking. I've got a lot of other podcasts to listen to.
Fair
and
enough. I don't have
I'm
that
listening
many.
to him for wrestling content.
Fair enough. I don't have that many. So anyway, the point being, it always comes up whenever there are these major. This one happened to have be dealing with, and Raw proved it again, having to be dealing with the result of Owens and Cena. It always comes up. He always gets bombarded with a million freaking emails saying how the finish was wrong, and he always comes back and says, yeah, but you guys don't understand. Cena needs to be preserved. He's even said it about Brock a couple times. Brock needs to be preserved and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sorry, man. At this point, preserved from what? He has had an amazing, storied career, rivaling Hulk Hogan's at this point. What are you preserving him for?
His racial comments later on?
I suppose. But seriously, man, there's got to be a point. And I know we really didn't get that much into it, and I don't want to take up, an extra half hour of time, even though I could. But there's a point, and I know everybody's been saying it for off and on for a while. There's a point when you look at Cena and you look at mainly Cena, and you try and tell me that you're preserving him, and what it's really doing is it's unpreserving the rest of the business. The guy barely works passively. I've heard you guys talk over the last couple weeks about, his new moves, and even those are not very crisp. By the way, it's the Yoshi Tonic, not the Canadian Destroyer. Just wanted to say that.
What's the difference?
So a Canadian Destroyer is like a pile driver being flipped, where a Yoshi Tonic is more like a sunset flip. So,
all right.
Anyway.
Thank you.
I have noticed a difference after seeing that name and, viewing them side by side, so to speak. So, yeah.
Anyway, just the point being, Cena, you've had a great run. I understand kids look up to you and stuff. You know what kids really need to be taught lessons by? Sometimes you don't win. And how you come back from that defines the real person you are, not making sure that you succeed every single time at everything you do, because you're not. That's not the way life goes. It just doesn't. I would love it to go that way, but it doesn't. Things come at you. You have to learn to roll with the punches. I mean, when a guy...
Full of disappointments. Congratulations, Kevin Owens is your new champion.
There you go. There you go. And you know what? When they come back in 6 months and Cena takes the title from him, you blow the roof off the place.
Would you?
I mean, I think so. I mean, at least for the kids anyway. If they built the story right, and if they actually showed Cena just being devastated by that loss and coming back from it. But they're not going to do that. So yeah, you wouldn't. It's just
that reaction would be reserved for Sami Zayn coming back.
Yeah. When a guy can't even sell a legitimate injury as something that has, that stops him, or something that affects him in the match. Don't get me wrong, they had a doctor come in and all that, but when that finish still looks like nothing has bulletproof, like he's bulletproof and nothing has ever damaged him, you're killing the business at that point. It's not just about killing someone's push or whatever. Like, you are destroying the very thing that you love, and you can't tell me any other way. Sorry. That was a very long-winded fail.
Okay.
Mic drop.
Wow. Well, fails from the live chat. We've got Patrick being eliminated at Tough Enough, Hulk Hogan getting fired, and Hulk Hogan in general. So there are some disagreements that Hulk Hogan was fired for why he was fired. We'll not get into that. But yeah, there is a lot of displeasure with the fact that Hogan was removed, or Hogan in general. Specifically, Diva Jill is also upset that Hogan will not be in WWE Immortals. She needs him to complete her team with Savage and Warriors. So, yeah. So, okay, cool. I think that's it. I really don't have any fails from this week. So let's just move into final thoughts. We're going to go ahead and close out the free portion of tonight's conversation. Anything else that you guys want to say before we jump into the squared circle of trust?
I'm spent.
I'm going to put it out there for you guys. My wife and I are revealing the sex of the baby this Saturday. So
can you Periscope that?
What the fuck is Periscope? I'm gonna tout it.
I think a Periscope is something you look to see stars with. I'm not positive though.
From a submarine, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I want you guys to send me an email, Joe. Well, I don't know if our email's set up anymore. So send a message on Facebook or something. Maybe I'll set up a poll. Or tweet me, FTPW277, I think is my Twitter handle now. And let me know if you think it's a boy or a girl. Long-winded,
Facebook is in
but
there, right?
Facebook works there too.
Yeah.
I can put that in the Facebook.
Yeah, maybe we'll put that in the Facebook group. We'll have like a little poll.
Yeah.
Baby on a pole match.
Oh God.
But yeah, I'm just curious what the random consensus is.
Okay. Cool. Anyone else have any final thoughts? All right. Awesome. That is the end of the free portion of tonight's conversation. You can join us over on patreon.com/fans talk for the bonus content, as well as early access to episodes just like this. Also make sure to join the ongoing discussion that happens on our YouTube channel. Search for FTPW277 and see what others are adding to that conversation. Plus, we'll talk about it in the Facebook group. You can reach us on Twitter. You guys know how to find all of that, but if you don't, go to fanstalkprowrestling.com. That's it for us. We'll see you next Tuesday. Later. And we're back. This is the Squared Circle of Trust. Thank you, everyone over on Patreon that has subscribed and has pledged $5 or more. You guys are fantastic. We definitely appreciate everything. So some things that we wanted to talk about. One was e-fetting, but before we get into that, there's some stuff that we should talk about as far as like Lucha Underground, TNA, and ROH. So realistically, let me reset my stopwatch. Realistically, we're going to be spending maybe another half an hour, so bear with us. So, okay, Lucha Underground first. This week basically marks the beginning of the end for Lucha Underground Season 1, which is really depressing for me. It's weird because I looked at, like there's been conversations that we've had in the past about the idea that maybe wrestling should go on seasons or have an off time. And, it seemed like a good idea for the most part, but now that it's basically put into practice, I'm nervous about it because Lucha Underground has been so fantastic that I don't want it to end. And like with wrestling, you're used to it never ending. It's always there. Even Christmas, there's something to watch. So yeah, it's kind of like I'm starting to get that feeling like I don't want to watch the final 2 episodes because I kind of want to save it like I do everything else, like I do with Orange is the New Black or Doctor Who or anything like that, where I save the last episode until I can watch the new season. That way I can watch it, like I can binge watch for like 3-4 hours and get the end of last season and the beginning of the next season. So, but anyways, it's going to be a 2-part special event. They're calling it Ultima Lucha. It's going to basically cover 2 episodes, but the first is going to be this Wednesday. It's going to end on August 5th. Right now, the card is pretty stacked. And Nick, I know you're pretty much up to date as far as Lucha Underground goes. Joe and Adam, I don't think you guys are, right?
I know what you guys have said on Fan Talk Lucha, and I picked up a couple other things. There was one that was like not to. I feel like I'm just shilling the Stone Cold podcast, but like 2 weeks ago, he talked to like the director of Lucha Underground, and that got me super interested in wanting to watch it. But I just haven't.
Chris
DeJoseph. No, I don't think that was it. I think it was
like one of the actual guys in charge, not one of the associate.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Co-producers.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find out.
Guys. But it was really interesting to listen to. He definitely sold me on it. Hence why I was asked about YouTube on the Mate Show, because I need at least for the time being, a place to join it. But of course, we don't promote any kind of nefarious business like that on the show, so we'll save that for another time.
Just so it's clear, July 16th, he spoke to Johnny Mundo.
Yeah, he did that as well right after.
Okay.
It was just before that. It's probably an unfamiliar name. I don't think he was ever associated with wrestling before that.
Oh, Eric Van Wagenen.
Yeah. I knew there was a W.
Yeah, that guy.
That fucking guy.
All right, so Nick, you've seen the card, right?
Yes,
All
I
right,
have.
so what match are you most looking forward to right now?
Right now, it's really hard to pick just one. El Patron versus Johnny Mundo, that should be great. I feel like there's a lot of heat there after El Patron got put through that window. Should be very interesting. Also, Mil Muertes versus Prince Puma. That's gonna blow the doors down, I think. Puma is showcasing more and more visibility with every week, and Mil Muertes has always been a great